Well, well, welcome back.
To episode 4.
Hey, we got it that time. Of the double commit. Um, Today, day two, Saturday of Worlds, and we got to see the Swiss tiebreakers. We got to see the Yap off,
Yep.
and then we had today. Today was just good.
Yeah, great
Today was
day.
a phenomenal day,
Lots of fun. Flew
and
by too.
yeah, it.
Yesterday felt like it dragged on a little bit, but today flew by.
I mean, it didn't help yesterday. You almost fell asleep during one of the series, so
Yeah, I was eepy.
big eeps. But today we started out with our Swiss tiebreakers, and what that would be is the third, fourth, and fifth team to qualify out of the Swiss stage, which were Furia, Carmine Corp, and BDS. And the way that that worked out is playing for the third seed, it would have been Furia versus KC, and that series ended, well, beautifully for you.
Yeah, I was excited.
You
KC took the W.
you predicted it.
Yep. Love to see it. I'm glad Carmen Corp's still rolling through.
I did not predict that. What did you think of the series, though?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had 3 out of 4 go to OT, right? 3 out of 4 games, and Atto and Rise are icy, man. Or no, yeah, it was 3 out of 4. For some reason, I thought it was a best of 7 for a minute, but anyway,
No, the
Atto broke the record today for most goals in overtimes in a single RLCS LAN, and he has just been incredible. Could possibly be the best player in the world right now. The way he is firing.
no only one went to. We're thinking of a different KC series. Only one against Furia went to OT.
Well, that's okay. KC took care of business. You're right.
He
Yep.
did still
Now I
break. He
remember.
still did break the record.
He
That still
did.
happened.
Yep, that still happened. Uh, yeah, Furia struggled to get going against them today. KC did a really good job. They lost to them in the Swiss, and they came out prepared. Furia looked really good in game 2, but other than that, they didn't get much going. Carmine controlled the midfield against them, and I mean that's something that's necessary in a lot of games these days, but especially against a team like Furia, controlling that midfield is huge. Not letting too many of the big clears go one way, and having a man there to recover. The rotations were on point. We had Atto just absolutely carry on offense. He had all 6 goals in this series.
That's crazy, actually. I didn't realize that in the moment that he
Yeah.
scored every goal for them in
Yep.
that series. I will say only one of them was unassisted though. Batira and Rise combined for 5 assists on 6 of the goals.
Hmm.
So that's big.
Yeah, the team was working well together today.
Yeah.
Um,
It.
they
I don't
looked
know.
great. But Tira and Rice were also carrying on the back end. They had more saves than Atto, but all of them played really well.
Yeah.
Everyone was having a good series.
Furia just they weren't able to play their game.
Nope.
They looked super slow.
Yeah, Yen didn't score a single goal in this series, and he just didn't even really look happy today. He looked a little upset all
Yeah.
day on stage, um, but just definitely couldn't get it going, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Furia just didn't look good. Atto is
That
if
guy right now.
yeah, he is the guy for Carmine Corp. If you can shut down Atto, then you have a very good chance at beating KC.
Hmm.
But Furia could not do that. Furia couldn't get anything going. It was just it. It was a Furia that I have not seen before, and
Yeah.
it was weird to watch.
That game too was the only game that they looked like themselves. That
Mhm.
was the only one they really got the ball rolling for.
It was just weird to look at Furia play the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But KC takes that series. KC goes into the playoff as the 3 seed,
Yep.
which puts them against Falcons later in the day. And then, because Furia lost, they dropped down in the 4th, 5th seed game against BDS. They were sitting there waiting on them. And this series was what a time it was.
Yeah, it was great.
Yesterday, for the tiebreakers, I called Furia beating KC and then BDS beating uh, KC also.
Yep.
And I thought I was going to start the day 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
Furia jump out to a quick 2-0 lead in the series.
Yep.
And then BDS, Monkey Moon decided to turn his screen on. And BDS reverse swept them in that lower. And that was just...
It was incredible.
It was just exciting.
Yeah, I think I was saying this earlier. I think the big thing in this AFL format is whoever's dropping down, they've just had a great warm up. You know, I'm assuming BDS must have been warming up with some other team.
Yeah.
I'm sure Gentlemates or somebody warmed them up beforehand, but I mean, you could tell just going into it that Fury had the real warm up behind them, and they just couldn't close it out that game 3. Unfortunately for them, BDS ended up taking it. But it was close. It was a good battle for a while.
Yeah, because for these tiebreaker teams, this was their first day in front of a crowd.
Yep.
Because they qualified on Thursday, and so they were done. They didn't play yesterday.
Yep.
And so this was their first games in front of a crowd, which Monkey Moon been there, or BDS in general, been there, done that. They won EWC in hostile territory, and they showed up and they took care of business here. They beat Furia in that reverse sweep, which was just, it was so exciting. And well, I think we kind of talked about it a little bit in the venue, but I think after we kind of walk through matches, we can try to predict MVPs for every team still left in the tournament.
Absolutely.
Going from here. But Exotic was that dude. Exotic had 7 goals of his team's 11, and so he did a lot of the scoring, but BDS as a whole,
assisted.
Yeah, 9 of the 11 goals BDS scored were assisted. And so they just clicked as a team. They played extremely well. Their defense looked incredible.
BDS on defense all day today looked really, really great. I'm impressed with what I'm seeing from them. I think I expected them to be confident after the EWC win, but it's a little scary how confident they are. They could honestly walk away with the whole thing tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think the trend of this tournament, again, 1-goal games. 4 out of the 5 games this series were 1-goal games. Games 1 and 3 went to OT, but then every other game except for game 4 was a 1-goal game.
Yeah.
Now,
and I think game 4, that just really changed the momentum for BDS.
Yes.
Like that right there. I mean, it was the OT win that gave BDS the confidence going into game 4, but man, did they
but to turn that through. To turn an OT win into a 4-0 the next game is disgusting.
Yep. Your mental, I mean, it just shows the difference in their mentalities at that point.
Which, I mean, I will say, even though I picked the wrong team, that was something that we both predicted is whoever drops down is going to lose to BDS.
Yep.
And because it was just one of those things where, like, you're coming down, your mental is chalked.
Yep. You're a little upset. That loss. It's very fresh.
You lose, you get like 15 minutes to flip around and play another series, which, I mean, Furia, they started out well.
Yeah, they did exactly what they were supposed to do winning those first 2 games. They almost put it away.
And then the sweep game, going to OT, losing that's kind of that's when the wheels kind of fell off for them. So 2 straight losses for Furia, just back-to-back within an hour of one another. They lose both series. But that puts BDS as our 4 seed. BDS goes on to, they'll move into the uppers. They play G2. Yep. Furia drops down and plays SSG. And
what a series.
Then we had the Yap Off.
Yep.
The Yap Off was kind of our buffer between the best of 5 season or Swiss tiebreakers and then the BO7 playoffs.
And it was supposed to be a best of 5 originally, but I mean, they just took so much time goofing off and having their tech pauses.
Well, they
had to drop it to a best of 3.
T-Bait spilled water.
Yeah.
I think they kicked water over and
took some time to,
it took a ton of time.
It might have been Roldiz. It might have been Roldiz because I mean the guy was talking to Roldiz for a minute after.
Okay.
But it just took a little too much time. Everybody wanted the ball to be rolling. That series took way too much for it to be a best of 3, to be honest. But
I will say the content that went into it, like, because each team had a hype video or a walkout video.
Oh, it was
incredible. First touch doing what, like, it was definitely their style. It was actually a great hype video.
Complimented.
Yes, it was a great hype video for First Touch. And then the Chalkcast, their video was just ridiculous.
They were just goofy.
It
It started off with them watching the first touch video and just Johnny and CJ reacting to it. Rizzo's sitting in a cabinet.
Yeah.
That CJ has to open the
He's
door
a little
for.
goblin.
Yeah, just. I mean, it was goofy. It was a really
It was a Rizzo video.
great.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the dichotomy of the two videos was just perfectly well done. They had, and on our replay reviews, we got to hear the comms in game too. That was something really cool that I'd like to see in like actual pro matches as well. Like, let us hear the comms. But man, the production, like the walkouts for First Touch and Chalkcast were both great. T-Bates really brought the energy on that First Touch walkout. He did a great job leading them off, and then Chalkcast they were just so funny.
It was T-Bates coming out was kind of like reminiscent of like Ray Lewis.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, especially because they had the varsity jackets on and everything.
Absolutely.
And he comes out doing what he did, bro. It looked like prime Ray Lewis coming out to play a series or play a game.
Yeah, I couldn't call it better than that.
And then Chalkcast, they showed up how everyone expected them to.
Just being goofy.
Part of their walkout video was them crafting their shirts. Like they designed them themselves in the back.
Yep.
And then wore them out to play the match and everything. And so it was fun. It was a fun match.
It was good stuff.
But I was extremely surprised that First Touch did take the series 2-0.
Yeah, both went to overtime. Both games went to overtime.
Apparently Johnny Boy had the fastest game.
Yeah, he had the fastest speed in the whole series. Johnny Boy was the fastest on the pitch, and that is just so funny. Honestly, Johnny and Daz did a better job in the air than everybody expected them to.
Yes.
I think all around those two just impressed me more than what I thought they would.
Yeah. It was just a fun series.
It didn't seem like Rizzo was taking it seriously at all. That was expected. He was just being funny. CJ was definitely trying to carry Chalked. He was trying. But yeah, just didn't make it happen. They got some couple of kickoff goals, and it is what it is. But it was fun. I hope they do more show matches in the future. I thought that was a really great addition. It was nice to take away from the seriousness of the event and just have some lighthearted moments.
Yep.
And like Wave Punk or Gibbs said, I really couldn't believe that Blast was just okay with them just like playing, just being goofy and like goofing off with all of the serious like pro stuff.
Yeah, and one thing I loved is we got Gibbs on a cast.
Yep.
Gibbs calling a game.
Gibbs and Wave together. That was awesome.
That made me excited. That was like throwback RLCS kind of stuff, and they did not hold back. They were throwing shots at everybody involved the entire time.
It was funny.
It was a great production.
It was just a good time for the community.
Yeah.
Very good community moment for sure. Gonna be memorable. Like I said, I really just hope they do more like it in the future.
Yeah. But after the yap off happens, after we now have our best podcast Rocket League team, we move on. We move on to playoffs. BO7s, and our first match of the playoff was Gentlemates and Oxygen. And we both called that yesterday. We called it was probably going to be SSG and Gentlemates finished top 8.
Yep.
And
we were right on Gentlemates for sure.
We were right on Gentlemates.
And we were so happy. It was a great time.
Bro, Oxygen is a NA fan favorite.
Yes. I mean, the
might
crowd
as well.
loved them. I think the only time the crowd was louder was for G2.
Yeah.
And that might have partially been because there were more people in the arena.
Yeah. Once I think Gen G pooped the bed and Oxygen became EU or NA2 at that point.
Yeah.
And
Everyone,
which they're technically MENA 2, but they're EU 5, and
I mean the whole world is back in Oxygen at this point.
Yeah, I some of the people I talked to just randomly
outside of France.
Yeah, outside of the French, people love Oxygen, and it was just they played lights out. They smothered Gentlemates throughout that series.
Yeah, they did. They went up to a quick 2-0. They were looking really good. Gentlemates came back. They won the next two.
Mm-hmm.
Each team respectively took their timeouts after their their O2 deficits there, and after that, Oxygen didn't seem to look back. I think that game 5 was very tense. It was a close game. It was really exciting, but once Oxygen iced up, game 6 was just all Oxygen, and Seiko even ended up leaving like 10 seconds early in the match.
Yeah, he will probably. I know that. I think First Killer did that during a NA regular season match a few years ago,
Yeah.
and he got in trouble for it. And so I'm sure if Psyonix is keeping that kind of the same thing, I'm sure Seiko will. There's going to be some kind of punishment or something for Seiko for unsportsmanlike conduct or something, leaving the match early. And once the series was over, he grabbed his controller and he walked.
He was quick.
Yeah, he was out.
Quick.
He did not hang around, and he picked up his stuff and he left.
Yeah, it was sad, for sure. I think I get it. You know, I'm pretty competitive personally, and I think being my age now, I can definitely sympathize with these guys that just are younger, and you know they don't have all of the losing experience yet. You know, Seiko has high standards for himself, and I understand that. And it's easy to get upset and just be done. You know, I'll take the fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm pissed off, and I want to be done in this moment. We'll see what happens with them next season. Seiko though, he played incredible on defense against Oxygen. He made me so nervous in this series. Definitely more than Itachi and Juicy did.
Yeah.
He was just unbelievable.
He was their goal line defender.
On the goal line. He was doing his job 100%. And I mean, it's sad, you know, anytime somebody loses, you feel for them. But somebody's got to in the competition. And today was Oxygen's day.
Yeah. Archie, we praised him yesterday on his defensive front. Again, he had 13 saves, averaged just over 2 a game, and Big Oscar.
Right there with him at 14 saves total, and so just a little bit higher of an average. Big Oscar came to play today.
He was a shooter.
He showed up.
He was a shooter today.
Both sides of the ball, Big Oscar was there, and we love to see that out of him.
Which, to be fair, his shooting percentage is horrendous.
Yeah, but that's okay. He was setting up goals, and that's what matters.
Yeah, 18 shots, 2 goals on the season or the series.
That's crazy.
That is horrendous.
Joyo though,
but when you have Seiko on the other side with a total of he had how many saves? Oh, I moved past it.
Yep.
He had 13 saves, so he was also average. Him and Archie averaged the same number of saves for the series.
Yep.
And it was a extremely fun series to watch. Oxygen. Oski was feeding into it.
Yeah.
The crowd got behind Oxygen. Multiple times you see Oski like waving the crowd on to start cheering for them, and then the crowd erupts.
Archie had, I think
I got nervous.
His assist, Archie's assist, he had a touch.
Oh, the OT?
He had an awkward car moment. He recovered really well, got a touch on the ball, passed it mid to Joyo for the finish, I believe.
Yeah,
and it was absolutely the moment that changed the tide.
Yeah,
I think that was 2-2, and it was OT in Game 5, if I'm correct.
He gets bumped. He's with the ball. He gets bumped. The ball goes into the corner. His car hits the ground. He power slides, jumps, spins his car, throws the ball mid, and they
Joyo's
slam
there
it home.
for the finish,
and
it was beautiful.
The crowd went
insane.
Like the broadcast or the casters over the speakers in the arena. They said we will see that tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
that'll be in a highlight reel tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
And it was just a disgusting.
I mean, it was the assist that turned the series around 100%.
Yeah,
like that was just so incredible. That moment was so amazing.
And one reason I loved it is, again, we said Oxygen got out to that 2-0 lead, and then I don't know what happened. Archie looked nervous games 3 and 4. The whiffs out of Oxygen, Archie specifically, kind of Oski. Joyo had a couple games where he had like 110 points or something like that. Like
he was struggling.
I don't know if it was just the lights started getting a little brighter or what, but Oxygen struggled in games 3 and 4.
I think they were scared to go home for sure. They did not want to. I think they were just very nervous. This was Archie's first top 8 in a Worlds.
Yeah.
This is this is Joyo's first time winning top 8 in Worlds. So I think both of them were just they really don't want to lose, and I respect that. I can understand for sure, but
It was.
I'm glad they bounced back. Snasky, whatever he said to them in that timeout, that definitely helped. Got their mental back. They regained. They were calm. They were good.
Which
It was good to see.
Snasky also knew that the crowd was on their side.
Yep.
He started.
He played it up.
Yep. He started playing the crowd.
Yep.
The
Oscar
crowd
did a
loved
big,
it.
good job with that too.
And
Oski
so-
kept waving at the crowd. He got that post game interview, and it was cool seeing him soak that moment in. I really like Leaf as an interviewer because he just does so well with that person to person interaction. On like, hey, like, realize where you are right now.
Yeah.
Like, take the moment in. He does that a lot.
Yeah.
and
It was great
it's
that
great.
he didn't even get to start the interview.
Yeah.
He said, "We have Oski with us." The crowd starts chanting his
Yeah.
name, and Leaf just puts his mic down
Yep.
and just says, "Enjoy it."
Yep, exactly. And I mean that's exactly what you want from an interviewer. Leaf doesn't want any of the attention. He just wants the players to have the best time they possibly can. And
Yeah.
it's good to see. I mean, the community in general. I love being at this LAN. This is my first LAN that I've gotten to go to, and I'm having a great time getting to meet the community and just see all the personalities.
So we had Oxygen, regional violence. Oxygen sends home the EU one.
The major one champions.
Our EU 5
Yep.
not even invited.
Seiko's
Sends home.
last 5 lands were a top 4 finish, and he gets a top 8 in this one. And we just, I don't know. I personally, I didn't even have mates making it to playoffs, but as soon as they did, I kind of expected them to go out in the quarterfinals, and because they were just looking different this tournament in EWC, they weren't looking like their normal selves. But good series. Glad they made it as far as they did. They proved me wrong in that regard, but unfortunately today was the last day for them.
Yep. Oxygen moves on, and then we get our second lower bracket round 1 matchup in Furia versus Space Station. And if you did not watch the series, we're gonna spoil it. But even if we do, go watch it. It was instant classic.
Yeah.
It was an incredible series. You had Furia go up 3-0.
They looked so good in those first 3 games. I mean, you really thought it might be a sweep, and it was sad. It was sad for space people that like Space Station, us fans. But Space Station take that game 4, and I mean that turned the momentum around for them. Then they get game 5, then they get game 6.
In OT after 5 minutes of OT.
Yep, 5 minutes of OT, and then we
the
get a
reverse
game
sweep
7.
is on.
Mm-hmm.
And then sadly, Furia finish it out. Furia, they hold off the reverse sweep.
Yeah.
Which you found a stat that said this was the second time in a best of 7 Furia has had to stop a reverse sweep against Space Station.
Specifically, yep. Last June, Furia almost got reverse swept by Space Station, and they ended up winning that game 7. But today, it was just by a goal, and it was so close. But Drafinho was the one that won it for Furia. Drafinho scored, but was it 2-1 or 3-2?
It was 3-2. Game 7 was 3-2.
Okay, so Drafinho, I think, scored 2 of those goals in that last game, and I mean he was playing well. Drafinho was not wanting to go home. Like I said, Yan was looking just not himself on land today. He looked sad.
I said they went up 3-0 and he reclined in his chair.
Yeah, he really didn't look like himself to me. And honestly, Lost didn't have a great series either, but Drafinho, he did a great job.
He was the rock for sure today.
Yep.
But the standout star for Space Station had to be
Kago.
Had to be Kago.
Had to be. Chicago, listen, he's gotten so much hate this year after leaving G2. I think a lot of people thought that it was questionable of Space Station to pick him up. But he really showed his worth today, and I was really glad to be a fan of his watching that. He had the most saves, I think, in the whole series, at least on the team. In the whole series, for sure. Chicago did a great job. He iced up in those overtimes, and he had the most goals on his team by a large margin. He
Yeah.
had 6 goals in the series compared to LJ and Hawks are each getting 1 apiece.
I will say LJ had 5 assists. So
Yeah.
LJ was a huge part of the offense, but
He
Kago
wasn't doing
was
the normal part,
yeah.
for sure.
Kago was the finisher, and for a 7-game series, it was 9 goals to 8
Yeah, and
throughout the entire series.
It was a
so,
lot of just back and forth possession.
Yeah.
Could have just been a lot of nerves, but it was close. I think those two teams are very, very close in skill.
Yeah, Furia started the series off playing how they do. They were playing extremely fast. They were getting great touches on the ball. They were smothering SSG. And I kind of hate to admit it, but Furia go up 3-0, and then I look at Space Station takes game 4, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be a 5-game series now. SSG take game 5, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get a 6-game series now. I didn't have faith in Space Station actually winning the series until game 7.
I was pretty excited as soon as Space Station took one game, I was excited for a reverse sweep potential. But that is pretty in character for us. I follow the hype a little bit more than he does. He's the logical one. I'm the feelings-based one. I go with the emotion. I was rooting for the boys, hoping for the best, but we almost got him. It was close.
Yeah, but Chicago, 6 goals out of his team's 8. He also had 14 saves. Like, Chicago was everywhere.
Yeah, he did a great job.
I think the thing that switched for them, and I called it, or like we pointed it out in the arena, was they could not score a goal to save their life in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
It was ugly shooting, and then...
It was a big struggle, for sure.
And then game 4 happens, and Space Station started going for backline demos. Mm-hmm. And that is what kind of flipped the game on its head. I think it threw Furia off it threw them off their footing.
Big time.
And SSG took full advantage of it and just kept pushing that. And then took 3 games and sadly came up a little short in the final one. But the place was going crazy for Space Station.
Oh, yeah.
USA chants breaking out.
Yeah.
And it just weren't able to finish it.
No, unfortunately. But we love to see him play today. It's nice to see him make it top 8. It's a little sad because that's just what Space Station's been known for all year, is top 8s. And you want more, you want more for the boys, but hey, they were NA number 2 this year in Worlds, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's still respectable. It's okay. You can hold your head high with that.
Yeah. Just looking a little further at the shot differential, Furia took 55 shots and only 9 of them went in.
Yeah.
Space Station took 41 and only 8 went in.
Yep.
It was
some rough shooting for sure. There were a lot.
Well, I mean, rough shooting, but again, we said Chicago had 14. SSG as a whole have 38 saves. So 38 saves, and then you have the 8 or the 9 that go in. That puts you at 47.
Yeah.
And so that leaves 8 shots that either hit the post or hit the crossbar and go out. But it was just, man, what a series it was. Sadly, Space Station go home, so G2 is the only hope of NA at this point.
Yep.
We kind of sadly correctly predicted Gentlemates and Space Station going out as top 8.
Was unfortunate.
After our lower bracket, round 1
to the uppers.
We get our upper quarters, I guess that's technically what it's called.
Upper quarters.
And our first upper quarter of the day was Carmine Court versus Falcons.
Oh my goodness.
And in a fashion that I didn't see whatsoever. KC take down Falcons.
4-1.
Falcons were coming into the tournament. You would be hard pressed to find somebody who did not say G2 or Falcons are the favorite coming into this tournament.
Yep.
And Falcons.
I'm a person that said KC was my favorite coming into this tournament.
It's true. In his predictions, you did have KC winning it all.
And they really, their form, they looked incredible against Falcons. And this was the series that, so four out of the 5 games went to OT here. And
yes,
it was unbelievable. I think KC won 3 out of the 4 OTs.
Yes.
And so, Falcons only win coming by 1 goal in an OT. And they looked good in the win, for sure. And they looked good in a lot of the games. That's the thing. Falcons would get out to an early lead pretty consistently in the series, but KC mentally is a strong team.
Yeah.
They really hold their composure well. Atto has that overtime ice. So does Rise. Both are very clutch players. Vatira is a dependable player. He's always a top 5, top 10 in the world contender, depending on who you ask. They're probably not going to be outside of the top 10 for anybody. But, man, yeah, Carmen Corp just controlled the pace. They made Falcons play their game, and it was really impressive.
Yeah.
I think a lot. I'm hoping Oxygen learn from that series, playing Falcons tomorrow. And,
Yeah.
I hope they watch that film over, see how Carmen Corp played, see what they can replicate, and figure that out.
Yeah, KC come out and just punch him in the mouth. It was a 5-2 game one,
Yeah.
and that set the tone. The blue wall was out. It was cool. We had the green wall for the Gentlemate series.
Yep.
And then we had the blue wall for KC, but they came out. They set the tone early. They set it quick.
Yeah.
5-2, and then they win an OT, a 3-minute OT. Falcons take their timeout, and then the next game goes to OT, and Falcons win that one.
Yep.
But then
We
KC
got
bounced
2
back,
more
and
OTs.
it was a lot of free Rocket League
And
if you think about it that
game
way.
four, I think a lot of those goals happened in that last minute before the OT. They were pretty
yeah,
back and forth.
yes.
Like it was
It was like kickoff goal.
I had no idea how it was going to end. There were a few kickoff goals. There were a lot of counters. And Falcons didn't even look bad this series. And I think
No.
that's what
I
is
just think they got
most
smothered.
impressive about the KC win is that Falcons looked good, but KC looked better.
Yeah.
And I really do think the strongest attribute to it is KC's mental, and I think that's where they diff Falcons is they have the experience over them, and they're confident. They believe that they can win it all, and I think Falcons. I would assume Falcons also think they can, but it just feels different.
They were not the Falcons that
We've
hosted
seen
the EWC finals.
right.
They were not that same team, and Farah in the postgame interview himself said it was like teams take leads against us, but they always lose them.
Yeah, if you note it, he said
And-
if you notice, they will lose them.
And so it just shows one how well Farah has done with these 3 guys.
Yeah.
But also just at the end of the day, it's what they do, and the fact that they're able to stay locked in mentally, and they go down a goal, they go down 2 goals, they're able to fight back and then win games
Yeah.
from behind, and it's just
And it's awesome. Vatira really showed up in this series. Could you go over the goals for me real quick? Nope.
Oh, the other way.
Yep.
Got
You're
it.
okay. You're okay.
I'm catching up.
So we had Vatira and Rise scoring the most goals in this series, 7 apiece. Rawas had 5. Killers,
Everybody
TRK,
else.
and Atto all had 4, which is insane that 2 of Atto's would have been in overtimes.
Yeah.
But
Also, can we talk about Atto coming into the series had an 80% goal participation?
yes, I mean, he is all over. And even right here, he has the most assists in the lobby. He had 8 assists. Next highest was 4. But Vatira really showed up on offense in a way that we haven't seen this whole tournament. And that makes KC look so scary when Vatira is making the big saves and making the big shots. I mean, he looked incredible. And Rise all over the pitch. Also, he looked great. It's good to see him ice up. I know he's a clutch player, and it's just it's nice to see.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Seeing them play each other was a lot of fun. I don't hope we get that as a final tomorrow, but it would be a good one for sure if we do.
Yeah. And so with KC taking down Falcons drop down. Falcons get to play Oxygen tomorrow. And KC move on to our semifinals, and then that leaves us with our last match of the day, which was another banger.
Yep, another Game 7.
Another classic. We had G2 versus BDS.
Which is just a great rivalry.
Yes.
I love getting to see these 2 teams match up. Atomic and Monkey Moon have probably played each other so many times in these high pressure situations, and they both deliver. That was a fun one.
Mm-hmm. And this series continued the narrative in full strength. All 7 games were 1-goal games.
Yeah.
And that was just, it was
It's unbelievable.
incredible. So BDS take a quick, or an early 2-0 lead, and they win a 2.5-minute overtime in game 2. G2 call their timeout, which they get now because they're BO7s and not BO5s. And G2 take 3 straight after their timeout. But after their second win, BDS take theirs. And normally the timeout buff comes in. They make their adjustments. They get that extra minute between games.
Yep.
And that's when a team really makes their adjustments and then comes out. And normally they win that next game.
Yep.
And I think Leaf might have actually said something about it in an interview, is the timeout buff used to be at like, if you took a timeout, there was about a 60-70% chance you win the next game.
Yeah, but this
and now
season
it's down to 40.
And that's unbelievable. But I mean, at the end of the day, both teams are getting a talk.
Yep.
During the timeout, and I think that's something that's a little interesting to me. I've always thought is maybe, just maybe, the team that doesn't take the timeout, the coach shouldn't be able to talk. But that's just my personal opinion. It's probably not a popular one, but I think that would add to the timeout being worth something bigger. Is the other team's coach can't give input. You know, the players can talk amongst themselves, but coach can't.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that, but
this series as a whole was a defensive masterclass.
yeah, wow.
7-game series. BDS scores 7 goals. G2 scores 6.
Yep.
And that is so BDS scores 7 goals on 54 shots, and G2 scores 6 goals on 46 shots. And so that, to have that many shots and have that few goals go in, I mean, looking at save numbers, Atomic 15, Beast Mode 13, Daniel 12, Monkey Moon and Drawley 12, Exotic 7. Like it was just goal line save after goal line save, and it was just.
I mean, everybody's averaging a save per game, and that's just that's big.
It just made the game so much more exciting. Daniel, surprisingly, he did not score at all in this series. Neither did Exotic, which is like that.
Very surprising.
Yes.
Very surprising to see neither of them score. And both had 3 assists, but it really, I did feel the whole time watching, I felt like Daniel wasn't getting activated. Even in a way that we've seen earlier in the tournament, I felt like Daniel and Atomic had both been doing a great job. But this series, it was definitely Atomic and Beast Mode leading the charge. And Exotic, in the same way, we've seen him all tournament long and just all season. He's been a really consistent member of BDS, but for whatever reason, this series, he just he wasn't feeling it the same way. We did almost see him ice up a 0-second double tap off a nasty angle in the corner.
Yes.
And if it hadn't hit the ground, I mean, if there was 1 or 2 seconds added to the clock, he would have scored it.
Yeah.
But it bounced right in front of the goal line. Unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Fortunate for us, we got to see Game 7 because of it.
The last thing I want to talk about is how close this was to being flipped the other way. How close this was to G2 winning. There was a double tap off the like the corner of the ceiling above the net. It drops down.
Beast Mode hit it right up to the crossbar. Daniel was on the crossbar. He jumps off, barely can't make it in.
Well,
somebody on.
I'm more focused on when it comes down. That's there was a BDS player floating near the ball, but the guy coming in to take a shot completely whiffs. Doesn't even touch the ball. He flies into the goal.
Yeah.
And then the third man comes up, throws it off the crossbar, and it goes bar down.
Daniel whiffs.
And then
it goes bar down. Daniel tries to get another shot. He can't push it in all the way. It gets pushed back, and then we see another G2 again tries to shoot it in, and it just
I think
doesn't go.
That is, and it was something that we had talked about during the series. Is G2, a lot of BDS's goals in this series were counterattacks.
Yeah.
G2 was caught very far up, which is something that's how G2 has played for years. It's just kind of how they've always played. It's as weird as this is going to sound, with them being the number 1 rated offense or defense in the world, they're kind of a glass cannon in terms of they have so much firepower with the names Beast Mode, Atomic, and Daniel, you know that they are capable of scoring goals.
Absolutely.
And I think because of that, because of how fast they can play, how good they are at offense, they cheat up a little too a little too far sometimes, and then that opens them up to huge counterattacks. But that's just kind of their style of play,
Yeah.
and it's going to be give and take. If you're going to be that aggressive, counterattacks are going to happen, and it just kind of sucked that it happened at this moment.
Absolutely. And we usually talk about teams picking, or players specifically, picking boost over ball. But G2 is one team that picks ball over boost maybe more than they should. To the point where, I mean, there were a good few times where all three of them have no boost on that goal line, and they'll save a couple, but I mean, eventually, if you've got the other team constantly rotating on that mid line, able to get their boost refreshed, they're gonna put it away eventually.
And that is something BDS did extremely well in the series, was hold that mid line.
Yeah, they did a great job controlling the boost. G2, once again, we see demos being really influential. I think we saw a couple of huge pivotal moments where G2 got some big demos and got a goal or a few goals out of it. But then we saw another few times where G2 went for those demos, didn't get them, and then BDS got a counter off of it. And it's sad to see, but close series, absolutely close series. And that is another series that we could see, just like KC and Falcons. We could see that end up again in the finals tomorrow, and I mean, it would be a banger. I would be a little happier to see G2 and BDS than KC and Falcons. Even though I called for KC, I would rather have G2 in it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, what's crazy is, so Drawley had 5 goals, 5 of their 7. Drawley was their offense.
Yeah, and I was saying that beginning of the series. I was saying Drawley is that man. He does a great job on offense. I mean, the kid is unreal. He's a ones phenom, and you can see it in his game the same way that we saw Zen last year just do amazing things on offense by himself. Drawley's doing that same thing.
Yeah, Drawley has 5 goals. Was demoed 15 times. He
was
died,
targeted the most.
He died at least on average twice a game.
Yeah.
And so that's 15 times during the series. Exotic got targeted for 11, and
Daniel was the most on G2
at 9.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you have 2 players on BDS that essentially they are getting taken out in pretty big moments, and they just don't get to play the game. And but it was an incredible series. G2 did not look great at the beginning.
No.
They started the series and they
slow.
Looked terrible.
They were playing a lot of solo plays. It was really different than what we usually see out of them. They're usually a really team-oriented play style, but for whatever reason at the beginning of the series, they were just soloing a little bit too much, and they got caught. They got caught behind because of it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the adjustments are tomorrow. We're rooting for G2 to make it back to that grand final. It would be awesome to see them every LAN make a grand final. I think that's a really impressive feat. I hope they can do it for sure. They've got Furia. If they beat Furia, they've got KC, and those are 2 great teams. I think they can definitely get past Furia, but that KC game, that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good series for if those 2 teams match up. Yep.
So our top 6 are set. We get to start the day off. We get G2 Furia. G2.
Yeah.
I'm taking G2.
Absolutely.
I think Furia, they had a rough day. 3 series, only won 1, and they almost got reverse. They did get reverse swept, and then they almost got reverse swept again.
Yep.
And so I think Furia, they're going to have to sit down and have a pretty long conversation tonight if they want to show up and even think about winning this thing.
Yeah.
But I think G2 taking on BDS, our EWC champions, I just think G2 are going to overwhelm Furia, and I think we get to see G2 KC. But on the other side of the bracket, we get Falcons and Oxygen.
Yeah, that's
yesterday,
tough.
Sadly, yesterday I called, I think, Oxygen top 6s as far as they go. I hope it's not.
Yeah,
But based on what I saw out of Falcons today and what I saw out of Oxygen, I think it is very doable for Oxygen to make a top 4.
Absolutely. super winnable for Oxygen, especially the way we see the crowd impact the games. And I mean, Oxygen just being a huge crowd favorite right now. I think we're all gonna have their backs tomorrow against
Yeah.
that Falcons team.
There will
And
be a lot of green.
yeah,
But
and if they can take that and run with it, they get their momentum. I think Oxygen can definitely take it. I'm personally, I'm gonna pick Oxygen to take it. I think that crowd buff's gonna help. I think the boys are motivated. They really want to make it to the final. They want to prove everyone that they prove to everyone that they deserve to be there.
yeah, I hope that today, the fact that Archie got his first playoff out of the way, the fact that Archie will be in his first championship Sunday, I hope he's more settled in now.
Yeah,
And so I could see Oxygen taking it. Falcons, they've been through this process many of times.
yep.
But
And we
I
usually
don't know. It's a
we
different
see-
Falcons.
Yeah, we see Falcons bounce back after a loss often, I'd say. But I don't know. I'm pulling. I mean, I'm full bias. I'm pulling for Oxygen
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Give me. I think I would pick Oxygen also, just based on what I saw today.
Yeah,
What I've seen throughout this tournament, they
they handle the pressure.
Oxygen does extremely well, and especially for them to not even supposed to be here originally, they have just been phenomenal.
They're fighting for that wild card to come back for sure.
Yeah, Oxygen or Falcons. I was not impressed today. Casey just kind of manhandled them,
Yeah,
did whatever they wanted to, and then moved on. And
Yeah.
So I'll take Oxygen. I think we get to see Furia and Falcons. They go out top 6,
yep,
and then all that's left is 3 EU teams versus our NA juggernaut,
yep.
and we can hope for the best.
Yeah, we can hope. We're both hoping for a G2 and Oxygen final tomorrow.
If that were to happen, I would not care. who
I
wins it.
honestly, I think BDS does look like the strongest team on that south side of the bracket out of them, Falcons and Oxygen. It's really hard to pick against BDS for me right now. And I mean, we know how Monkey Moon is on his championship Sundays. We know he's about it. So we'll see. I mean, tomorrow
And-
could go a lot of different ways.
And he did it here.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where he won his
He's
world championship.
comfortable.
Was Texas.
Exactly. He knows
In
Dickies Arena.
Dickies.
Yep.
So, but
Would be crazy.
that would give us G2 KC,
Mm-hmm.
and that scares me. Just as an NA fan, I think EU is going to win.
I think
Worlds this year.
KC is probably going to go to the finals.
We're guaranteed one EU out of
yeah.
Well, I say guaranteed.
Yeah, we're not.
As long as
I mean G2 and Falcons or
that
or
is
Furia
still
and
possible.
Falcons,
Yeah.
But they could definitely take out all the EU squads before the finals. But
We talked about it. If the way the bracket is set up, if Oxygen were to win Worlds, they would have eliminated. They would have been the eliminator of the other 4 EU teams.
and man, that would be an awesome story if they take out Vitality, they take out Mates. Tomorrow they take out Falcons, they take out BDS, and if KC makes it to the other side of the finals and they take out KC and they beat every EU team plus the Falcons, they're gonna earn
That's
everybody's
undisputed.
respect.
Yeah, that is undisputed.
That's a great run. That's as
And-
good of a run as you can ask for, truly.
And then that roster is never allowed to break up ever.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They've got to run it back.
But
And Oxygen isn't allowed to pull out as an org.
Oxygen can pull out as an org if they want to.
Moist,
Just as long, I'm worried about that roster.
pick him up.
I'm
Pop
worried-
it, Charlie.
I just want the roster.
We
but
know you miss Joyo.
so we get KC. KC would. I think KC could probably beat G2 tomorrow.
Yep.
I think I'm going to pick KC, and then if it comes down between Oxygen and BDS, I'm going to pick BDS. And I think that grand final, KC versus BDS, is going to be one. You're going to have a lot of unhappy fans because
NA
G2 is
fans.
not in it.
Absolutely.
But I think if you're a fan of good Rocket League, it's going to be
Great series.
it's going to be a time. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But so for me, that's kind of. I'll probably give it to BDS again. Sadly, I think Monkey Moon returns to Dickies Arena, wins his second.
Not me.
His second in Dickies Arena and his second for his career.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, what a story for him, but no. BDS KC meet up. KC is winning it. They're walking away champs. I'm pulling. I've been pulling since the start, and I'm gonna stay on the streak. I think KC's winning it all tomorrow.
okay. Well, if we've got our champions picked, let's just walk through because any of the top 6 potentially have a chance at winning this whole thing.
Yep.
We're gonna walk through our top 6 teams, and we're gonna pick if that team wins, based on what we've seen so far and based on what we think could happen.
Yeah.
Who is gonna be the MVP for each team? G2, I'm giving it to. I'm probably giving it to Atomic.
Really depends on who shows up tomorrow at the end of the day, for sure.
Yeah.
But Atomic for me as well.
Just based on what I've seen,
the whole tournament, Atomic definitely.
And then Furia, I mean,
Drafinho.
yeah, it's got to be Drafinho. I just don't think it's Yan. And then Lost has been kind
A
of
little inconsistent.
his name kind of fits for
Yeah.
this tournament, but
Yeah. But Drafinho's showing up.
he has been a rock for
Yeah.
them this tournament. So if
we'll
it's
see.
G2, I'm calling Atomic. If it's Furia, I'm going to call Drafinho.
Yep.
And then if we go Falcons, Rawas.
Yep. I think Rawas as well. I think, and then if we look at Oxygen, Archie probably.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, it all depends on results tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Anything could change with the way these last few series take place. We've still got 3 more series for whoever the winning team is, or 2. I mean, depending on if it's KC or BDS.
Yeah.
But yeah. So a lot could happen. But Archie for me on Oxygen.
Yeah. So we get 5 best of 7s, but those are our picks for them. If KC wins, it's Atto.
Atto for sure.
And there is no question.
Nope. He is the guy.
He set the record for most OT goals
And
ever.
then-
And
BDS is a team that we're not sure on. We're split. I said Monkey,
I'm giving it to Exotic.
but I think Exotic and Drawley have cases. I think BDS is the one team where it's totally up in the air for me on who would actually win it. And I think it would come down to tomorrow entirely for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Because all 3 have just showed up in their different series,
Yeah.
I think overall Monkey has probably been the most consistent. And it's Drawley on offense has just been so great. Like it's really hard to say that he wouldn't be that guy. Drawley had the highest score average on the series against G2, and
yeah. I mean, just today, Exotic, he had a series with 7 goals, and then he had a series with no goals.
Yep.
Drawley had a series with 5 goals, and then in the tiebreaker, he had 2.
So they both had 7 on the day.
So, but it's just like, again, it's just going to your case of it depends on who shows up in each series.
Yeah.
If we go look at Swiss round 1, Exotic had 3 goals. Drawley had 6.
Mm-hmm.
Round 2, I don't have the stats for that pulled up, but
It's close for certain.
it's going to be close across all of it. I think that they have. To me, it's like yes, Exotic and Drawley kind of get. They kind of get switched on
Mm-hmm.
because Swiss round 3, Exotic had the most goals,
Yep.
but it's hard to count out Monkey Moon because without him,
That I just don't.
without he demands so much respect on the
Yep.
field. Whenever he's near the ball, like people are either respecting him probably more than he's earned it 100%.
Yeah.
But because of how much respect he draws, it allows Exotic and Drawley
to shine.
yeah.
For sure.
So I just think it's going to be BDS is for sure the hardest team to pick one. But if I had to, I kind of just talked myself into Monkey Moon, given the fact that he's the one who equips the other 2.
Yeah.
So
maybe we're both on Monkey. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow. We're both really excited for it. Got a lot of games to get through still, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know how it goes.
but till then,
We got to meet Arsenal today. I think that's our only fun interaction on the day.
I think so.
Um,
There was that guy in the bathroom that We
Yeah,
said
he
Falcons
was
are about to
goofy.
play, and he said F the Falcons, and we
Yeah.
were like, yep, we're right there with you. but-
Nice. Yeah, he was big G2 fan.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I think those were the only interactions. Arsenal's
what about the guy
nice-
on the
nice
escalator?
guy.
Who took the security
Oh,
lady's
yeah. I was
chair?
goofing a little bit, but I told a security lady to hit this guy with her cane because she stood up, walking around with her cane, and he just sat right in her chair. You know, just being goofy, just trying to make somebody laugh. But I told her to whack him. So
And
he was fun. Oh yeah, he said I said you should have hit him with your cane, and he said, "Man, I wish she had some cane." that was something. So
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by.
he had the weed socks on too.
Yeah.
The boy was wanting a cane. Those are two different.
It was something that I had said when we were walking to the car yesterday. I am surprised at how many Rocket League fans look like they're fresh off a drug bender.
Yeah, Rocket League's
It looks
got
like they are
an
fresh off of
interesting,
tweaking.
Interesting demographic for sure. But I think that's all. That's all for today's episode. That's the recap. It's-
Like, comment, subscribe, send it to your grandmother. Tell someone in your life you love them, that you care about them, they got value. You have value. We love you.
And how did I double commit last night? Oh yeah, don't forget to double commit. Even if your teammate says he got it, he don't, and you better jump.
I got it.
Have a great night. Till next time.
Goodbye.